Welcome, traders, to the SPACs attack. Let's get it started. How we doing, traders? Welcome to the SPACs attack, where we talk everything SPACs. Hey, if you like your portfolio this morning, smash that like button. Let's get this show started. Now, I got a little bit of bad news today. You know, Chris is going to be out, guys. You know, you guys can rip my head off. Hit Chris up on Twitter, but he's going to be out today. So it's just going to be me today at the beginning, and then eventually we're going to bring on our guy JMAC to give you an update on some of the SPACs that he's been looking at. So definitely, guys, smash the like button. Let's get started with SPACs attack. You know, one of the things is, I'm going to be running the show by myself today. So the banners might be a couple seconds late here, but I'm going to do my best to get into the headlines for you guys. So definitely hit the like button. It looks like we only got about 131 people. Looks like somebody didn't pass the link right. I'll have to check on that a little bit later, but I'm going to let some people join in because I only see 132 people here. What's going on? Someone probably messed up on the transfer from the other show. Let's see what happens. There you go. Now we're getting people to join in. What's up, man? Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Hey, if you're new to the show, say hello. You know, that's one thing we're going to do today is this show is going to be a little bit more about you guys out there. So this is the day, guys. If you guys want me to take a look, you guys want me to get in depth in certain things, we'll go in deep. We'll go in depth, guys. So, hey, I definitely need a haircut. So I wouldn't say nice hair, but hey, you know how it is in this pandemic time to get even a haircut nowadays. It's definitely hard, but definitely supporting the Dolphins. You already know what's going on. Let's get the show started. Let's get into some of the headlines and take us back. All right, guys. So I'm going to be trying to read these and doing the banners at the same time. Normally, I'm doing the banners while Chris is knocking these out. So definitely, hey, do us a favor. Welcome to the SPACs attack. Smash the like. And let's get into some of these headlines today. Of course, I know we want to talk a little bit about Ride, so I'm going to save that one at the end here. Let's get into some of the other news of the day. So first up, we got EMPW. It's said to be merging with Holley. And Holley's an automotive performance parts manufacturer, and the valuation is interesting at $1.55 billion. So definitely keep that one on your radars, guys. That's EMPW. All right, let's keep going here. Let's go into so hey, we talked about this one, the Spitfire. I didn't expect them to get a 3D printing company, so this even makes me more excited. I'm going to keep an eye on this one, especially since they have some deals with SpaceX. So that's Velo 3D with Spitfire, and the ticker for Spitfire. Let's go ahead and add that. Just give me 1 second. I want to add it here to the banner here. Let's go ahead. SPFR there. That's the ticker, guys. So if you wanted to know the ticker, SPFR. All right. So the next one, Marijuana SPAC. All right. So Marijuana SPAC, Silver Spike, SPKB priced its IPO here at $250 million. The next one up here, we're going to have Lober and Witkoff launched a $250 million SPAC. Then we'll be getting into IPV. IPV shareholders approved the business combination, and IPEV will be trading as AEVA upon completion of the merger. So let me go ahead and fix that there for you. I see that I didn't put that in capitalizations there. So let's go ahead and get this changed over here. All right, so got that switched out there. Definitely, hey, keep your eyes on this one, guys. You know, I've been watching a bunch of these Lidar, and I'm going to keep an eye on it to see what happens here. IPEV looks like it's down at 1294 right now. So keep an eye on that one. Let's keep moving on. Next up, we've talked about this one before, but Sports Radar, HZON. It's going to be interesting. The rumor's been there. Let me take a look here. HZON. Let's see where it is on the chart today. Looks like we're at 1109. I was actually interested in it today if we were going to get into the 10s. I've been looking for this one to drop at least into the $10 price point because you guys know how I am and how I try to stick to that $10 price point. So I'm going to keep an eye on to see if HZON can drop down below and we can get a buy, but not bad stock there. 1109 right now is what I'm seeing. Okay, so BuzzFeed reportedly in talks to go with a SPAC ENFA. Keep an eye on this. This could definitely get moving. I've heard, BuzzFeed with a bunch of different SPACs. So it'd be interesting if ENFA gets it. Another mention here, Grab. Grab is a Southeast Asian kind of ride sharing delivery company. You're talking about like kind of a competition to Uber Eats or something like that. It's going to be interesting. The valuation here is massive. Look at the valuation at $35 to $40 billion. This one's going to be interesting. This one's according to the Wall Street Journal also. So we'll keep a lookout. Next one I have here is some rumor. So we got SBOK in talks to merge with Boxed, an online grocery retailer. Online grocery. Hey, you've seen a bunch of these different companies step up here in the online groceries. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I know that there's a big name one, Instacart, and that could also maybe be a potential acquisition also. So keep an eye on these. For movers yesterday, guys. All right, let me go ahead and move to my movers. We had EXPC, guys. Shares were up about 18% yesterday. CLA shares were up about 15%. You guys want to know a little bit more about CLA? Stick around. I see my man JMAC here in the back. He's going to be coming on in a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about a couple different stocks there, including that CLA. So ROCE, also ROCH, also up about 14%, and NPA up about 11%. Hey, another thing to keep on your radar, guys, we got some earnings in the play on the 15th DM, the 17th, we got Ride, the 30th, we got RMO. Keep these on your radar. Keep these on the charts. We'll keep a look on these and see how they continue moving. All right, for the calendar, also, you got some votes coming up, guys. If you guys want to see these, we got ROCH vote on merger on the 16th, NBAC on the 17th, LOAC on the 17th, and then on the 25th, we're going to have Replay and BFT. So keep your eyes on these on the calendar, guys. All right, so let me go ahead and pull this off. As you guys can tell, not so experienced reading these headlines, but doing my best to get you guys the information that you guys need to be informed traders out there. So definitely, hey, do me a favor, smash the like button. Let's keep getting into some of the news of the day. I got to find my report here for Ride. So give me 1 second. I probably put it on a different screen here. So let me go ahead and just pull it up here. So I'm sure you guys saw this morning, Ride taking a big hit. Hindenburg Research coming out with that report. I'm going to go ahead and put it up on the screen real quickly to talk a little bit about it and some of the things that I want to point out from this report. So one thing I definitely say is that Hindenburg, I used to kind of like this research more, but the more and more I see it, the more and more I see personal attacks. And this is when I like to separate in research. I don't like when your research gets emotional. And I feel like this research gets emotional. And I'm going to point out some certain areas where they kind of pointed out. I saw the same thing happen in certain other stocks. And one of the things that I had noticed is that, hey, they're definitely after some of these EVs. I mean, we saw Nikola get hit by them. But if we look in the report, we're going to see some certain things that are interesting. Pretty much what you'll see a lot of at the beginning is a lot about their pre-orders and their LOIs, pretty much saying that these are just essentially promotion orders. They're pre-orders. They're not guaranteed. You don't need to fill them. And at least from what they're quoting, they're saying that they've talked to certain people and they've said that they didn't have no intention of buying these vehicles in the first place. Now, where we start seeing some really interesting information is kind of like this. So January 2021, supposedly Lordstown's first street road test resulted in the vehicle bursting into flames 10 minutes into the test drive. We shared copies of the 911 call and police report received through FOIA request. So this is very interesting. This is to me very similar to when they talked about, the Nikola truck being rolled down the hill. And so we're going to be interested in finding out a little bit more about this when the company replies. Let's see what the response is. We've reached out to the company, so hopefully the CEO is listening right now and wants to come on and respond to this short report. So we're going to keep reaching out, trying to get them on today, and we'll see what happens. But definitely, it goes on even a little bit further to talk more about the CEO, Steve Burns. So hey. There's certain people calling him in here as kind of like an innovator, and then they call him as a little bit of a dreamer. So definitely read the report for yourself, guys, so you guys can do your own deep research. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, a couple of these things you could talk about how he departed Workhorse and then moved to Lordstown. A lot of people have talked about that and mentioned before, but as it states right here. It says that a former employee called him a con man and certain things like that. And this is when I get a little bit kind of fishy here, guys. So, when you start reporting research, one thing I don't like to do is start doing name calling. At least on my side, that's not what I would prefer when I'm reading research. So right here, they start name calling and then referring to the famous showman circus operator known for promoting the Hoch, referring back to the CEO, Steve Burns. So to me, when you start name calling and certain things like that, and you're adding that in your research, I don't think that's really research. I think that's strictly opinions of certain people. And to me, you got to stick to the facts. So it's going to be interesting. Later on, it says that Burns was distracted by the Horsefly, its drone program, when he was at Workhorse, and that's why they let him go, because supposedly he wasn't focusing on the projects and wasting and missing deadlines. This is going to be really interesting. One of the things that's been talked about with Lordstown Motors is when is this truck coming out, right? And so a little bit deeper into this, you can see that they talk about how they don't expect it to come out in that September timing that they've talked about. And there's a lot in here. It pretty much goes into saying that they're being promotional and that they don't really have an ability to get this truck out. So it's going to be interesting, as you've seen the CEO even on Jim Cramer saying that they have very serious orders. So it's going to be interesting to see if these orders and fleet like owners really start kind of more talking about how, yes, they will be taking some vehicles. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. And this was the Ride short report, guys. Keep your eyes on it. We'll see what happens. But hey, that's how it goes, guys. There's always going to be short reports, especially when you're talking in SPACs. There's going to be people that want to hit these companies down. So let's take a quick look at our watch list here. One of the things that we do is we have our watch list. So let's take a look here at the watch list. All right, guys. So I'm going to pull up the watch list today, see what's up, see what's down. First thing I'm seeing is CIIC. This is an interesting one as it just bounced off this 20 support. It really looked interesting off of that 20 support, that 20 and 18 area. Why? Because there was this little gap. So pretty much a lot of times in technicals, we hear about that. It's called the shadow fill. And so right here, this area right here between 20 and 18, it popped through that level and came back through that shadow. When it came back through that shadow, I think you had a great opportunity here in CIIG to go ahead and get into this one. That's CCIC ticker, but CCIG merger company. All right, guys. Another one that's on a lot of people's radar. I know they're watching THBR. Hey, what I think about this is that you're gonna have some winners and losers in this kind of sector. So the real question is THBR the winner? One thing I can say is that 1050, oof, that looks good to me now. That reversal and a couple times trying to break it, trying to get through that 10 level and then quickly right back up through that 10 level. It's going to be interesting when it gets towards the resistance of 1250, but right now it's looking really good. All right, the next one I'm going to bring on before I bring on my man JMAC is the last one I wanted to talk about is RSI. We saw the great earnings, but one of the things that I'd point out is, hey, guys, we've been talking about this industry, and this industry in sports betting is just getting started in my eyes. I think, as you see state by state revenue increase, you see state by state give revenue to these smaller companies. And you're also going to see some partnerships and some more expansion. And so keep your eyes on the kind of the gambling leaders like Penn, DraftKings, but definitely the ones behind it, RSI, GNOG, getting a good bounce here. And I'll keep an eye out on these. But like I said, state to state, you might have an opportunity to see these get more revenue. And so one of the things that I'd use is the supports. If you use the supports, you can give at least an ability to measure your risk and give yourself a potential nice reward. All right, so the time is here, guys. The time is here. Before I bring on my man, JMAC, I want to play a little rocket video because my man's been rocketing on the research on YouTube. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely check out JMAC, and let's bring him on. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's up, Mitch?
Research, man. I see you. One of the things that I definitely do is I look for research all the time, whether it be mine, someone else's. There's nothing better than deep research, right? Because what I always do a lot of the times is I get opinion of others and then I take it as an opinion, right? And then I take that and I go and I start doing my research into the company to get my trading ideas. So I'm gonna let JMAC go into some of the updates to some of the SPACs that he's been watching. But definitely, guys, take the list, do the research, and get some information from my man JMAC here.
Yeah, no doubt. What's up, everybody? I see a few of the Discord members there. Shout out Crazy Beagle, PM, Ben. What's up, y'all? So this most recent pullback was a great opportunity to, like you're saying, Mitch, to take some time and do some because there's so many companies right now that have that have a target. So many SPACs that have a target, and we had this big huge turn down. And so it really gave an opportunity to recalibrate the portfolio if you needed to do that and look into and get into some really great SPACs at near NAV or NAV. So what an opportunity, it was where, it shook out many, maybe newer investors or some that are just trading SPACs, which it always does. So that's just the way, that's just the name of the game. But yeah, man, so a couple of my more recent videos I've covered. I know you probably want to talk about CCIV. Everyone it was funny to see the reaction of CCIV. How all of the SPAC investors who, I don't want to put everyone in the same circle, but everyone all of a sudden became a fundamental investor, right? Like just all. Snap of a finger off of a evaluation of Lucid, which was obviously higher. So I pretty much I stayed in stealth mode about CCIV through why a lot of the other Twitter personalities and YouTubers were cranking videos out left and right. I just kind of stayed stealth and was just watching and doing research and kind of selling and making some money on the way up. And then I was after it crashed back down, I jumped back in. So I'm back in the CCIV. I loaded up and very bullish about the future. I don't know how people can't be bullish about something with the technology. Now, of course, this company has to prove a lot, right? I'm not going to say that they're the second coming of Tesla, but now if some of the things that they have cooking, pan out. We obviously know they got a manufacturing plant, and they've recently had the go ahead for the expansion of their manufacturing facility. So just that right there, they're light years ahead of a lot of the other EV manufacturers that are SPACing. Anyway, and then just yesterday they put out a video of the CEO going on a test drive, and he said it was the first time they've ever test drove the vehicles without the camo paint job or whatever. So, an actual near ready production vehicle on the road yesterday, or I'm sure it was probably a week ago or so, but the video dropped yesterday. So did you get a chance to see that, Mitch, that video?
Yeah, no, definitely. I've been reading all about CCIV. One thing that has really surprised me is that, people get so it's almost like a cult-like following into certain one of these SPACs. And when they get that cult-like following, I mean, they just don't look back. And if you say anything negative, oh, you get ripped. If you say anything positive, they're just like, yeah.
All right, yeah, and it's a line in the sand. It's either CCIV is going to be one of these, like Tesla early on, where it was either you hated it or you loved it.
Yup.
For sure.
Like they talked about it when Tesla was first. What did they say? This one's going to disrupt the technology, right? And so one thing I noticed is that at the end of the day, when you look at the vehicles side by side, they look very similar, very, very similar. And then if you look at the features and the speed, the power, they actually are kind of their best car is beating the Tesla. So, I mean,
right now, yeah, and with their motor is so small, but has 1,000 horsepower. You know what I mean?
Yeah, over 1,000 horsepower. I heard. So I mean,
how did they do that? So that's the things though that we need. This is where you're going to need, eventually they're going to have to do it anyway. They're going to have to get it in the hands of like Car and Driver and, these actual, ones that are probably in the pocket of the big automakers. But at the end of the day, they're still going to dive into a Lucid because they've done it to Tesla. You know what I mean? And so and then I love to see what Car and Driver or some of these other big platforms begin to say about a Lucid once they have them in their hands. So I think that'll be the real test. Well, that'll be the test for some people.
I got some questions on Lucid and what you think. So first things first is what do you think of that Arizona plant and their potential? They're saying they can make hundreds and thousands of vehicles in a couple years. Do you think that Arizona plant is really the main deal here?
Yeah, I mean, and then it's rumored that they potentially are going to have other plants open up in Saudi Arabia, or we go global. So no, I mean, for what they are set out to accomplish right now with the numbers that they put out in their slide deck, and stuff, this plant is totally capable with the expansion. And I mean, because the proposed expansion is like 4 times as big as the current, and then in the current manufacturing facility, if the CEO was accurate, they could roll out one vehicle every 10 minutes, through the assembly line. So, and then with the expansion, yes. So I definitely think that it's what they have currently, there is sufficient for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, well, I'll wrap up with just including like how he said Lucid plans by 2030 that it plans to produce in upwards of 500,000 vehicles annually. So, hey, is the potential there? I mean, 500,000 vehicles, you could just add the revenue up and try to think about where it could be revenue wise and value wise. And then we can talk the fundamentals. But at the end of the day, that's the way I look at these often, right? I mean, at the end of the day, their potential. And so what you got to do a lot of the times is early, like the rumor, it was all about where does the potential go to? And then once the actual rumor got filled, it's more along what's the future of this company? And I think those are two separate areas that a lot of times investors get stuck in between.
Exactly. Yeah. And then once a few, bigger name kind of accounts begin to say, this is too much right now. The people, and now, I wasn't buying it at 60, and I mean, I hate anyone who was buying it at 60,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
in 5 to 10 years, you're probably you're gonna be okay with that. But yeah, that's a long hold. But so yeah, I mean, and and then the other thing, they have other lines of businesses that also, it's not much like Tesla. They're not just going to be an automaker. They're going to sell like the Tesla Powerwalls. They have their own one of those. They're going to sell like energy storage solutions for bigger businesses and stuff too. So a lot going on there with the other revenue streams. So I could see them eventually becoming a $500 billion company. In the long term future, 10 years or so.
I have to say, in the long run, I think the same too. So let's go ahead, and I think this leads us perfectly into your next company here that we could talk a little bit about, Volta Charging and SNPR. And this is going to be a really interesting company. And the real key is that I think for all these EVs, they're going to be relying on a lot of these other companies, these charging companies, to really get their kind of, I would say, their act together, so that we can actually have the supply meet the demand and we get somewhere. So let us know a little bit more about this company, JMAC. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it was. I'm doing now like a community poll, asking the people what they want to, for me to make videos on. In between me making, some of the videos on the companies that I'm investing in. So this was a one that the community voted on, and that they wanted Volta Charging, and so I covered it, and and I've been invested in it. I've traded in and out of it. I'm currently not invested into it, but. And one of the reasons is the whole EV charging market. I think there's going to be a shakeout in it. I know people like to talk about picks and shovels of the behind the scenes. I really think in the EV space, that's going to be the battery end of it, because and I talked about it in my most recent video, and one prior was that who knows what the big oil and gas companies are going to do. They may also begin to roll out their own EV chargers. Shell has announced 500,000 EV chargers going in. But kind of the point I made with Volta Charging is it's one that I think their business model will allow them to sustain no matter what happens. I think because of the advertising piece of it and the high visibility of where most of their locations are. They're high-end malls. They're going to be basically everywhere where there's lots of foot traffic, like open air malls, shopping centers, those kinds of areas. These guys are going to have prime retail location visibility right there, and they're always going to be making money on advertising, when they're not in use, which other EV chargers can't say that that's part of their business model yet. But the thing about that is, at any point, ChargePoint, EV Box, EV Go, all these guys could also add a screen. That's not patented technology. This is why I'm a little leery. I know most people, and this could be contradictory to some of the things I may have said in the past, but I've come to realize that the charging industry, EV charging industry, I'm not as bullish on it as I was in prior. But of the ones, I think this business model is a really good one, and they are. If you are really thinking about valuations right now, their valuation is fabulous. Volta Charging's, they came in at a very, very reasonable valuation with lots of room to lots of upside if you got in at a good price. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I know that this is going to be almost vital. I mean, you can't have all of those other EVs without this. So it's the question is, who's the winner? And like you mentioned, if there's technology that's going to change here, one thing that I'm trying to pay attention to, and you can give us your feedback on it, but is there going to be some kind of government help here? Because I think that's what's really needed, is some infrastructure deal to happen with EV, with the battery makers, with the charging stations, and then we can get towards all these EVs. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, part of that is that there is going to be some government assistance, but if you look at it, like some of what I'm reading is too, like utility companies are also going to be players in that. So that's what I'm saying. I know people are really jacked up and enthused about the EV charging companies, and because early on, when it was just Blink and Beam, these really smaller ones, it was exuberance around EV charging. Then ChargePoint, I think ChargePoint is the only one that really probably has a really brand name, that they're kind of already globally known. So they're a brand already that could also maybe weather the storm as well. So it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, but check this out. Put this in perspective. So by 2025, Shell gas, they're going to install 500,000 chargers. Like I said in my video, that's more EV endpoints than ChargePoint, EV Box, EVgo, and Voltage Charging all combined. So
Hmm.
when one oil and gas company says we're getting into this, you can see the magnitude of it. That's why I'm saying, just but now. I did get some feedback in my comments about this particular topic, and people are right that now it could be that like ChargePoint or Volta Charging or someone, or these could become acquisitions of Chevron, Exxon, BP. So there is that opportunity as well. So I don't know. I'm interested in following along and seeing. I don't know that I'm going to be very heavily invested into the space though.
Hey, I can't blame you. At the end of the day, it is a story that needs to develop. And I was going to go right there. That was my next point, to go into your Shell talk on your video. So, guys, if you want to check it out, it's in the description below, guys. Check it out after. All three of the ones that we're kind of really going in depth, you guys can check out the review video. It's only 8 minutes, guys. So definitely check it out afterwards. Let's go ahead and let's get into the last one here. Hey, I think it kind of goes in an order here. And so I wanted to go more into CLA here, and you can talk a little bit more about what your research has brought out in Ouster. And I what you opened up the video with, I felt the same way. Like, how have I not done the research in the Lidar? So
Yep.
let us know, JMAC.
Yeah, so I was late to the game, but this was one that I did take the time during this downturn. I was like, you know what, let me look over, because lots of interesting things going on with ADAS, which is the all of the safety features in the cars now, and then with full self driving and autonomy. And I was like, let me look back over all of these companies, because there's like 6 of them, Lidar companies that are coming via SPAC, 5 or 6, I don't know. And but then the real magnitude breakthrough was when I looked over Ouster, and I was like, these guys are the only digital players in the whole space, And then I was like, with the basically Velodyne basically imploding from within with the things going on in their board and all of that, and then so really it's like here's the lidar space in a nutshell. Most of the other companies, minus Velodyne and Ouster, which their ticker symbol is changing to OUST today. So some of the price action today is going to be because of that, where people can't trade. So Velodyne and Ouster are the only ones right now in production. Like if someone placed an order for an Ouster lidar sensor, Ouster could put that order in and get it going into manufacturing today. All of these others, they're prototyping, they're still building. Even Luminar, who has fabulous tech, fabulous CEO, but Luminar also is analog; it's not digital. So, and the benefits of the digital platform is this: when it comes to economies of scale, the analog has a whole lot more moving parts. It's going to be a lot more expensive to build. It's going to be a lot more expensive to manufacture. That's where Ouster is going to come in, and the costs will be cut left and right. Because all you got to do is make sure you get the specs that are wanted and needed for whatever auto manufacturer or industrial needs, or whatever the platforms that they're building these for. If the specs are there, then it's going to come down to cost. Analog's not going to be able to compete with digital for cost. So when that revelation hit me, I'm going to tell you, I really loaded up on Ouster, and And then I also spent the time. I watched their Investor Day, and I watched the more recent. Like yesterday, they had a Cohen mobility conference that they attended, and I mean, he basically broke it down as well. The CEO that really is them and Velodyne, and that's it. And they're gonna win and price. So. But yes, and they're also winning with customers. Like just go to their website or Google Ouster and look at the contracts that are getting signed week after week after week after week. So, it's one of those things where really, honestly, this one is more of a longer term play for me, and I went big on it.
Hey, can't blame you on that, JMAC. One thing I try to talk about is that kind of SPACs are kind of like in three different. I could put them in baskets. I put some in the long-term basket that I feel like the company, is in the long run. I think they got it down packed. They know what they're doing. It just might take a little while to see the revenue show up down to the investors. And then there's the other ones that are kind of more like the hype SPACs. They got we can include like CCIV, PSTH, these big ones that just have so much hype behind them. But the company really in the long run might not be that long run type of company. And then there's the other ones that kind of get the forgotten few. I put these in like the ones that no one really even kind of knows about. And all of a sudden you see them get a big name or something like that. Or you see them just forgotten, I know that for like Sports Radar, AZON, everyone was talking about different tickers. And then out of nowhere, boom, it made sense. Because it was a little bit in that forgotten sector, in that forgotten basket. And then next thing you know, if you actually looked at who was a part of that SPAC, it made complete sense. Mark Cuban, Michael Jordan. And then you're like, all right. I can kind of see, why these connections were made. So the last thing I have is something that you mentioned is I think is always important is the partnerships. Because partnerships don't only give us like revenue right now. One thing that I always focus on partnership is the data and the research that you get from these partnerships. And I think these are more important than, let's say, even just one deal with one partner. Because when you have those multiple partners in that multiple range, you're getting so much data from different areas that I think you can start perfecting your product and your service. What do you think about that, JMAC?
Yeah, for sure. You said it well. That there's several different types of SPACs. The companies that are coming public. This is why yes, they're volatile and it's just kind of a wild ride, but it's so much fun to actually be a part of of doing the research on these companies. I mean, yes, it really is kind of like the .com era that we have a opportunity to sort through. Some of them they're not gonna make it. Some of them gonna go by the wayside. Of course, we know. But if you just keep following along and you're doing your due diligence and research, and like you're talking about the partnerships that are made, like Romeo Power is another one, the battery maker that kind of got completely forgotten about. Share price went down to like $10, under 10. Warrants were down to like 50 or 60 cents. And they had already, the thing about them was they had already inked a bunch of great partnerships with Lion Electric and several of the other players in the space. But it was just the whole massive sell-off. So I was never in Romeo Power, but I got in on that dip because, like you're talking about, it got forgotten about. So
you bought my dip, bro. You bought my dip. I actually got I had a small win in Romeo. I sold out near the 12s because I just saw the market kind of coming down on me, but didn't pick it up when it got underneath that 10. And man, right now you see me doing the whole the FOMO kind of move. You got to just get the chart off your screen because that's how it is sometimes. And so that's why I was mentioning to certain people, the old Warren Buffett method, when you see panic on the streets, that's when you got to start looking for value. Where's the value? Where are these companies valued at? What's a good company in this where I can get it at a good price now because of the discounted price because the market pushed down so much. But hey, guys, I'm going to go ahead and let JMAC get on out of here, guys. I'm going to put his link up here in the chat, guys. Definitely check out his YouTube. Hit a subscribe button. I want to see him get at least 100 subscribers for coming on here. So, hey, help out my man JMAC. Hit him up. Hit the like button. We'll see you next time, JMAC. Definitely want to bring you on. I know you're a big Helion guy, so the next time we have Helion back, I want to bring you back. So it's good to have you on.
I appreciate it, Mitch. It's great to be on. Thanks.
Next time.
Hey.
All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on here and try to finish up the day for us. We got about 20 minutes. So I had a couple that I wanted to go through. I know everyone's talking about one thing and one thing only, and that's PSTH. To tell you the truth, guys, I'm getting interested. I'm starting to get interested. So let's pull up the chart right quickly here. And why am I starting to get interested is the weekly chart. The weekly chart is why I'm starting to get interested, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the chart here. So what we saw was this kind of ripped right out the gates. You know, I really wish I could have got it near that 2021 price, but I can't do that now. But what I have seen is this stock go all the way up to about 34 and then make multiple bottoms kind of near this 25. So if I do an Alt H, let's do an Alt H. Let's get a horizontal line here. And you see these kind of multiple bottoms right near this kind of 25. So now what I want to do is I want to get closer to this 26 so that I can risk off of that 25. Right now it's at 28. The real question is it going to come back towards my level? Because it's going to be a little tight here to go ahead and let me just get to a daily chart here. Sorry about that. Daily chart's way better. So one of the things that I did see is this reversal immediately off that 25 right here. So it's just like had a low of 23.13 and then a low right next to it of 25.03. So now I'm looking for that 25 to hold. I'm looking for a pullback closer towards 26 so that I can start measuring in here. And I think this is the company that can get us driving again, guys. So one thing I did notice is that SPACs did take a step back, right? So investors' interest took a step back. But what do we need, guys, to get this back up? We need some investor interest. And I think PSTH could be the one to get that interest going back into SPACs. Why? Because, hey, you know, we're talking about one of the biggest SPACs ever created. We're talking about a company that, if you look at it, they keep saying, I'm looking for a mature unicorn. If they're looking for a mature unicorn, it could still be that Stripe that's been mentioned plenty of times with this stock. I still think they get Stripe. And if they do get it, hey, we could see this one rocket off. So I'm going to go ahead and start turning into a PSTH bull, guys. I'll say it. I'm starting to get into that bull mentality. The key is, can I get it by that 27, 26 so that I could risk to 25 and give myself a shot? All right, guys. So the next one up here, I want to go into one more here. This is one I'm keeping an eye on, guys, just because at the end of the day, I'm in this one, full disclosure, but I do like the ticker. This is going to be CRHC. So we're talking about the Gary D. Cohen SPAC here. We're talking about 600 million in the market cap. Why do I like this one? Is that at the end of the day, you know, look at this pricing, man. This one went up. I'm going to show you guys a chart here. Look how this one started. It just went straight up, like just straight up like a rocket. But if we look and we pull back a little bit and we go to, like, let's say a yearly chart where we get the weekly, look how this one's come down towards a low. So I'm keeping an eye on this one because it's gotten down to a low of 965. But I'm in this one really close towards 1020s right here near the bottom. And I'm holding towards $1 risk. So we're talking about 1020s to 920s. But I could see this one with an announcement really ripping past even this 11.50. I could see it getting up there towards 11, towards 14, $15, giving me a potential 50% gainer. So I'm going to stick around on this one. And this one has been said to, you know, Cohen has several leadership positions that he's had at Goldman Sachs. That's what also interested me. You know, that's Gary D. Cohen. But one thing is the founders are looking at consumers and technology sector. They could get software or fintech, but really I see the board here. And that's what's gotten me focused on this one. So we'll keep an eye on this one. That's CRHC. All right, one more, guys, one more to get through, and then I'll go through maybe a couple from the chat. So if you guys want to start throwing some SPACs in the chat, go ahead and throw them in there. One more here, Apollo Strategic Growth Capital. So we're talking APSG. All right, guys, so let me go ahead and change the banner here over. So one thing I mentioned about APSG is that, you know, I just think that potential. I mentioned this one on my 1025 show. If you haven't seen that show, definitely check it out, guys. And so look at this one. Look at this one, how it went up there to 11, went up there to 1140, now pulled back really close towards 10 and has this nice support level kind of where I'm going to hold towards that $10. I really want to hold myself towards 10, but hey, if this one can start driving, get back above 11, it's going to be looking good. There was a lot of volume on this big day where it went through 1120, 1119. I have a high here, 11 million shares traded. So let's see when we start getting like kind of 5 million, 6 million shares traded. That's kind of like what we just got here. Let's get that volume back up. I'm going to keep an eye on this one. They've been in talk to combine with 3 Vista equity partners, auto technology companies. This was from Bloomberg. Talks has been Solera, Dealer Socket, and Omnitrax. A reported value of $15 billion. They said that they could reach the deal within weeks. One thing that is interesting is that Apollo Strategic Growth 2 has actually come out, and we've been keeping the kind of the pattern on that when these next ones come out. So Apollo Strategic Growth Capital 2, APG.U on units will have the initial public offering of 600 million and is already, I think, trading. Let me take a look here if I have it on Benzinga Pro. Looks like we don't have it up just yet. It should start trading. Oh, there it is. This .U. There it is. It's at 1022. Has gone down from that 1090. It's going to be interesting also. So keep your eyes on this one. This is the second one, of course, but it'll be interesting to watch. I'm definitely keeping an eye on those. I have another one, of course, that I'm going to keep an eye on. That's CCIV. If it can get cheap enough, I'll take a shot back in it. You guys heard me mention that one at $10. I wish I had it at that $10, but that's how it goes, guys. So if you have some tickers in the chat, go ahead and put them up here. Let's go ahead and smash the like button, and let's keep going through here. All right, so I'm seeing GIK, PIPP. I almost bought PIPP, Rick House. I'll give you that. So PIPP mentioned here. Let's go ahead and take a look here. This is Pine Island. I liked it just because it got cheap here. So let's take a look here at the chart here. So Pine Island, you know, it's come down below kind of these levels. One thing I did point out is this one has a low of 995. If it can get underneath 10, which it hit this low right here on this week, it went to 995, bounced right off of that. If we can get closer towards that $10 near that 995, I'll probably take a shot again, see if it bounces off the support and it gets right back up there. All right, next one up. I think Solar's been working hard. Let's take a look at STPK. You know, this is one that Star Peak has been moving up and down. One thing I definitely mentioned is, dude, you could have got this one at 10. That's what it's all about, guys. Try to get these early, because when you get these pops to 50, it's kind of hard to determine, like, hey, I was at 50, I was up hundreds and 100%. Then it goes all the way down towards 25. It's very hard to hold during that move and looking at this long term. So always what I say is determine a target for your reward, especially if you're not seeing this as a just a hold for years and years. If you're looking to make a trade, make a decision on where your reward is. Your reward could have been $50, and that day that it went through 50, you could have been taking profits and celebrating. All right, guys, let's go ahead. Will it pop back through that 50? I think it's all about how much it builds here between 25 and 26, but you do have multiple bottoms in that area. It definitely needs to hold that level, but we'll see what happens on STPK. Next one up, one that I was thinking about getting into. I can't blame you, Alex. DMYI. I was looking at it this morning, guys. I'm looking for it to get a little cheaper, really. I'm hoping that I could get it closest to 11, closest towards 10. But let's take a look at where it is right now, guys. It's hit the bottom 11 multiple times. So who knows? I might just start taking a chance off of that 11. But I've been trying to let it crack through that 11, but it just hasn't cracked. So overall, I still like the chart. I like this one. Like I said, I was trying to get in this morning, but I didn't see it underneath the level that I wanted. Let's keep rolling through here. Seeing multiple mentions of ACIC. ACIC, let me take a look here. That's an Atlas. This is one that's been talked about often, but to tell you the truth, I don't know why. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I don't know what it is, but it just stands out to me that I'm just not a fan of this aircraft type of vehicle here, guys. So ACIC, the chart doesn't look the worst because you bounced off of those 1080s multiple times and now 1090 and you recovered 11. So I would want it to hold 11 now if I was in it, but we really need to see this one get some more volume and get some rip action, Let's see what news we had here. Looks like Palm Beach on March 10th. I mean, this is kind of more. This is kind of more of what you see them trying to state why the future's there. Personally, I don't think it's there, but it's up to whoever wants to get into this company to believe otherwise. I just don't see electric aircraft being kind of the next hit. Let's keep rolling through here. Seeing a bunch of tickers mentioned here. Let's go ahead and take a look at. Let's see what else we got. FCAC being mentioned. FCAC. Falcon Capital down towards 1050. Where did this one find a bottom? Let's take a look. Let's see if we can find it here and pull it up here. So I'm seeing kind of multiple bottoms near that 1020. I would actually let it get towards that 1020 on this pullback and look to see if I can get in and risk near that 10. It doesn't look too bad off of that. Now, one thing I would state is that it did break below the kind of this opening time on the 14th of December. So let's see if it gets below that 1040 one more time, and then you get a chance to buy it and risk right off that $10 level. Okay, that was FCAC brought to us by Sambroski. Sambroski, shout out. All right. Let's keep going through here, see what else we see. A lot of people have been getting into that this one right here that Bob's mentioning. So one of the things that you've seen is where would this one go? Where would the Soaring Eagle go? I haven't seen so many people be so interested into the units, but man, they've been interested in this one. It was interesting, on the 5th, it went down towards 1020s. Now it's bounced multiple times off that 1040. That's kind of the price for me. If it can hold on 1040s, recover these 1050s, get above through 11s, it's going to be looking good. But definitely, I've heard a lot of people mention this one, Bob, so you're not alone. All right, last one we're going to get into is the one that Jerome's mentioning here, NGA. NGA is an interesting stock. Definitely John Doe. You're hodling them NGAs. I can't blame you. One of the things I'd say about this company is look at this weekly chart. Look how you got to measure support. And this is why when stocks get up towards certain levels, I just don't buy. I just don't buy it. Like, as much as I like this stock and I liked it when it got up towards kind of these levels over here, these 34s. I just don't like it once it gets towards these levels. It's just super extended. So what am I always looking for, guys? A big pullback to support. And so this one ripped out from this $16 level, went up to 34. So when it gets back towards 16, I can measure my support off of that support. Let's say this bottom right here, which is 1361. And when this one comes through that level, or in that area between 16 and that 1350, that's where I can start attacking this and use my risks below it. I like this one long-term. NGA, definitely building up a good company. But the biggest thing here is, how are they going to react? And long-term, is this one going to go through that 1350? Or is it coming right back up through that 36? Keep your eyes on it, guys. We'll see what happens there. Another one that I'm seeing up today, the Kathy Woods one that I almost bought, guys. A little bit of part of me is going to be like, why didn't you buy it? But hey, that's just how it goes, guys. A1. I don't know what you want to call it, Aoni or whatever you want to call it. A1 here, looking strong here. So A1, this is the one that Kathy Woods is in. I'm taking a look on this one just because you got multiple bottoms near this 11. So that's kind of like, to me, the risk here. And if I take a look here on the 6-month chart, I'm going to see these multiple turnarounds here at 11. Now I want to see if I could get closer towards 1150. 1150s is something I would like to see. I would like to see it turn around from this, come back towards that 1150, and then look for an opportunity closer towards that. All right, guys. So I'm going to keep an eye on a couple of these as they develop. A bunch of people keep watching that BFT. It's starting to look interesting as it's had multiple bottoms at 1450. I think that's your price in the sand. Why? Because I can draw this out all day here, guys. Look at this trend line here that you can draw out. So Alt-T for you Benzinga Pro users. And this is what I'm going to keep an eye out for BFT. So when can we break this line? When can we go ahead and break that? Because it's going to be really interesting. If we look a little bit closer, we can draw it a little bit better here on the 6 months. And this is going to be interesting here. Can it get above 15? Hold that level. And really start driving back towards this 1650. And then it'll hit a resistance somewhere near this 1650s, 16. And that's what we're going to be paying attention to. When are we going to get closest to that resistance? And are we going to get big buying support when we get through that level? And that one is BFT, not AONE. Sorry for that. Let me fix that up. That's BFT. A lot of people believe in this company. I love Jason. I'm long AONE, but I don't know why. Kathy's why, Jason. That's it. Kathy's why. I can't blame you. All right, guys. So let's see what else we got here. What else is being mentioned? SNPR, if you wanted to know a little bit more about that one, we just covered it. So that's fine there. Let's get into one last one here. Actually, it's 11:59. We're going to go ahead and wrap up here. But like always, guys, if you enjoy the SPACs attack, definitely let us know below. One of the things that we've been doing, guys, is really bringing more executive interviews so that you guys can get the information you need. There's no one out there doing the coverage that we're doing. Even if you look at, let's say, a Bloomberg or a CNBC, they're just not covering SPACs every single day and the in-depth information that we're going to get you. So stick with us. Hit the subscribe bell below. Hit the like. Let's keep building together. If you like the SPAC game and you want to continue to see us rocketing up, definitely smash the like button. Let's keep rocketing. And up next, guys, we have the Power Hour. So if you want to see some hypeness, Power Hour is starting up right now. I'll be going ahead and ending this stream, and you guys can click the thumbnail and get right to Power Hour. But like always, guys, I'm going to keep working hard to get you these SPACs. I built up a portfolio of about 10 of them. Chris has, I don't even want to get into that. He has more than 10, let's just say that. So definitely, guys, do us all a favor, smash the like button. If you didn't check out last night's brand new show, Around the Bell, check it out, guys. It's such a fun show. It's going to be about topics in the market and nothing but banner. After 5 o'clock, we go ahead, take off the suits, whatever you have. Relax, kick back on the couch and watch us, because we're going to be bringing you some great entertainment. So definitely, guys, stick with us. Power Hour is next. And like always, guys, when the SPACs gonna be boxing in here.